Hey, this is Jay.
And this is Cray.
Welcome back for another episode of the J&Cray Show, Real Talk.
Yes, let's go.
Hey, are you listening? Listen to me carefully. There's an app. It's awesome. It's called Anchor. It gives you absolutely everything and anything that you guys need, all right there in the app itself for free. So you can start your own podcast. You can use your phone or your computer, whatever. It gives you all the tools you guys need. You can make music in the background, in the intro, all kinds of cool sounds, closing sounds. And listen, this is the great part. Anchor is going to distribute your podcast for you so it can be heard like on Spotify, Apple, all your podcasts, Google Podcasts, anywhere else that you can imagine. They're going to help you get off the ground. You guys can make money from your podcast, and there's no minimum listenership. Anchor. It is the only app for podcasts.
Hey, Jenny, how are you doing today?
Hey, Gray, how about yourself? I'm doing good.
I'm doing great as well. Definitely ready to get into another show here today.
So what do you want to get into tonight?
Let's talk about recovering from being cheated on in a relationship or marriage that ended in divorce due to cheating. Just how do people go about recovering from that and getting back to their normal selves or being by themselves and trying to move past a tragic situation that they were in for years or so.
Okay. Well, I, for one, can tell you from personal experience that I have been cheated on, and I have been in a relationship that was headed towards marriage, or so I believed it was. I was engaged with someone that, unbeknownst to me, had lived a completely different life than what I thought he lived. We had been separated. I was at school. He was away, I thought, working, building a trucking company. Turns out that was false. And to add salt to the wound, he had a child during the engagement period with me that I accidentally found out about. So needless to say, that messed with my ability to trust men.
Wow, so he was living a double life. While being with you, he still found time to have relationships or a relationship with someone else. And a child you said the child was during the time you were together, or?
Yes, a child, a baby with someone that already had 3 children out of wedlock by different men and added one of his to her list, her brood of children. Yeah, so needless to say, that was quite a shocker and devastating. Without harping on it, just the simple ability that a human has to get up in the morning and to go to work or to start your day is difficult when your whole world has collapsed around you due to nothing you've done, but something that your partner has been doing to you, unbeknownst to you, behind your back. You feel like a fool. You feel devastated, sadness, depressed, but you also feel twinges of anger that don't develop until after you start to really heal. I know myself personally, I did not trust anyone for about a year and a half. And that means male or female friends. I just felt that this person I was going to spend the rest of my life with could betray me in such a way. What in God's green earth could a friend do to me? It was, this is supposed to be your life partner, your love. And they've been conning you the whole time. What faith do you have in humanity at that point? You know what I'm saying?
Well, I think that's really going out there when you say that you couldn't trust even friends after that, people that were just friends. I mean, it may
Uh,
change your
yeah.
trust level outlook with everyone. And I think that's I don't I just kind of feel like a relationship with someone is definitely on a different level than you just being buddy or a friend with someone, and then just losing trust in just regular friends. I mean, that sounds devastating.
Yeah, it was a blow that hit me really hard. And, I was completely open and honest with this man. I was vulnerable, which is what you are when you allow yourself to fall in love. And I was devastated by the fact that I was fooled, because it made me feel like a failure. It made me feel like an idiot. It made me feel bad about myself. What is wrong with me that this person has to have a child with someone else when we're engaged to be married and we have plans for the future? I was just beside myself. I thought, well, there must be something wrong with me. I internalized it and turned it inward to myself, which is what a lot of women do. I know now that it was nothing that I did, through the help of one friend in particular, and another friend of mine that basically helped me come out of it, um, by allowing me to confide in him and relive some things with him on a personal level that, no one else really went there with me. And it's fortunate. I was lucky that I had these two men in my life. I I don't know what someone would do. Perhaps they would turn to their girlfriends, but I felt at the time that I could not trust even my girlfriends, because one of my girlfriends was actually one of the people that was talking to him.
Interesting.
Yeah, yeah. But she didn't tell me, and that's what hurt. He can be a jerk all he wants, but that breaks girl code.
So you're saying, as far as talking to him, are you saying
Uh-huh.
they were friends or
Well,
they?
they were friends through me, but he was trying to have more than that with her, and she did not tell me. She did not take it any further. However, and I believe that, but however, she, in my opinion, had a responsibility to tell me as her girlfriend, hey, this is what's going on. He's calling me at night. He's telling me these things. He's, telling me he would want to try it with me. Just different things, and maybe we could have a try. She didn't tell me any of that. And I felt very deceived a second time all over again, and it made me angry. It made me angry at people in general, and at men especially. There was one saving grace, and that was a friend of mine, who I could speak to. And then I had another man in my life that I met that really helped me come through it. But I'm telling you, it was really rough and choppy water there for a while.
So I know earlier you were saying that you had a hard time trusting people after you had been betrayed in a relationship. So you did begin to trust friends that were actually male friends that help you get through the situation, help you recover, and move on from being cheated on and
Right.
you know used and abused in so many different ways.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
I mean, I find it amazing that you were able to find or build trust in a man or a male or so.
Well, I forced myself to do that because I said to myself, you get knocked off the horse. If you don't get right back on that horse, you will never ride again. And I use that adage to my friendship with men, and I have more male friends than females, and always have. And I basically just said, look, this is all or nothing. You know, this guy's either going to be there for me and be my real friend, or, I'm just not trusting a man ever again. And I'll never have a friend again that's a man.
Wow. So a bad relationship was going to pretty much throw you to the point where you didn't want to deal with men, period, even as friends.
Correct. Correct.
Yeah, relationships could be so detrimental, man. The effects that it takes on an individual. Like you said, when you're vulnerable and you're all in, and then the other person has their foot outside, not completely in, but their foot is outside the door, or their mind is someplace else, and you don't know that. And
Right.
I was married for about 10 to 11 years, and it ended. It was a pretty rough marriage. There was a lot of different factors that brought it to what it had ended in. But what would put the nail in the coffin was when I found out that, he admitted that she had cheated or was cheating or so. So that kind of just brought everything to an end. And it was kind of shocking because I never thought this woman would have actually went that far as of cheating on me with another man while still being with me. I thought that, I trusted her, had a
Okay.
huge percentage of trust in her as the individual that I had become to had known to know, and didn't think that at any chance she would have ever had laid down or, you know, went that far with another individual.
Right.
But
Right.
it's very tough to recover from, man. It takes time. And like I said, the marriage wasn't great on both ends. There was issues I had. There was issues that she had. We didn't grow and really come together and be one. But just going through it, getting that information, getting that news, like, well, I've been cheating, and I kind of want out of this. It's like, I mean, it changes your whole life. Like I didn't want to do anything. I had to call work and tell them, I'm gonna need 3 days off because I need, I just need to. I told them I had like a family emergency and I really need the next 3 days off because
Right.
I didn't
Right.
want to do anything. It was kind of tough to eat. It was a struggle, because you're with someone that you care about and been with them over 10, 11 years. It's like that person becomes the most important individual in your life. So when that most important individual in your life is kind of taken away from you, then you try to figure out, how can I go on without this?
Right.
So you deal with a lot of different things, like no one wants to be alone,
Right.
especially after you've been with someone for 10, 11 years. You have that comfort of you're coming home to this person, you're laying next to this person, you're watching movies with this person, you're hanging out you're doing things with another partner, and then that is stripped away from you. It was tough. It was hard to sleep at times. It was hard to really come to the realization of that somebody had taken my trust and just didn't take it. It just kind of just like didn't really value it the way that I did.
Right. And basically took advantage and abused you in a sense. Yeah. Yeah.
Right.
Let me ask you this. I know myself personally, I would go through bouts of, you said you couldn't sleep at times. I knew I couldn't eat as well or sleep, but did you ever have these instances where you would fall asleep, maybe from pure exhaustion emotionally, and then you would wake up and it would be just panic? Like, this happened, this is real, this is over, my life has changed. Did you ever go through that?
Yeah, because you're still trying to comprehend it, and
Right.
you're like in a battle, like, oh,
Right.
this is really taking place, and like, how do I get past this? How do I recover from this? You feel
Right.
at that particular time, you feel like, how am I going to recover? Because the weight upon your heart is so heavy. Like, you want to relax and you want to do whatever you can to kind of avoid the pain. But
Mm-hmm.
what I learned was that you have to face that pain head on, and you have to allow that pain to take you to wherever it's. Only thing is that you don't want to, result into. I know because some people probably result in, I guess some people probably result in killing themselves or doing harm to themselves, trying to do harm to
Right.
someone else
Right.
or so.
And
But I never, I never. There was some rough times where you feel like because you feel like you're all alone. But I never been like closely knitted with a whole group of people. But I had some decent people. I mean, some real good friends at the time that kind of helped me get through the process. They were available if I needed someone to talk to. I had a church family that was pretty close as well. If I needed someone to talk to or pray with, or those things. I mean, there's so many different things that you have to open yourself up to or need to be available to help get through tough times like that.
Right.
And it was, that recovery, it builds, but it's a process. You go from A to B, B to C. You go from different levels, and eventually, and you find a way to get through it. If you want to get through it, some people, they want to. I guess sometimes they want to be stuck. They want to stay stuck in that depressed stage or so, but
Or maybe they don't know how to get out of it.
or don't know how to get out of it.
My whole thing was I did that on my own, except for my two male friends. I basically did not have a large group of people that I trusted because of what happened to me. I felt at a certain point, I started to feel like, well, they surely knew and they were making fun of me, or they probably all knew. Why am I the last to know? I felt really just like a fool. And I don't know if you experienced that as well, but I personally felt like a fool. And I took it personally because it was personal that, I'm this big idiot, this big fool, because I thought to myself, how could I put and invest so much and a future and a life and a family, and then just be totally blown up with the realization that he was living a double life. I got angry at myself for a while there because I allowed myself to love so deeply.
And I think that's the thing. That's a very important part of it as well, as far as to when you look back at yourself, you try to place the blame within yourself. It's like, why did I do this, or why did I do that? Why did I trust this person so much? Why did I put so much faith in this individual? When you realize that people they're their own. Like you're in a relationship with someone, you're in a marriage with someone, you're still only really 100% accountable for the way that you feel and the way that you feel about things. Like if you're a faithful person, you're not one, you would never cheat on someone, or you're a loyal individual. You have
Right.
to understand, like, okay, I did open myself up to this, that, and the other. And you could have thought, like, somewhere along the line, you could have cheated, or you could have done whatever you wanted to
Oh,
do.
yes.
So,
Yes.
but you yourself to your own standard of saying, I'm not that type of individual, I'm not going to do that. And I think that's the hard part, is saying, well, let me just separate this thing.
Right.
I am a loyal individual. This particular person decided they have their own flaws or their own faults or their own. And just because they decided that it was better for them to cheat or whatever, mess around with somebody else, then that's really on them, on their end. But one important thing also that kind of helped me get through the process, I was talking to one of my good friends that was, he moved out to Dallas or so. He told me to speak to his pastor at the time, because I was talking to him on the phone. Like, well, let me just how you talk to him pastor on.
Right.
And he was, he said some things, but what I can remember, one thing was that he said you have to come to a point of where you are willing to forgive this person. Because I think that was to me, was one of the key factors when moving past it, to not want to hold a grudge against someone because
Absolutely.
of what they did to, mess up your life.
Right.
Once I was able to work towards saying, okay, I forgive this individual, whatever, it kind of helped me. It helped in the recovering process of getting
right.
Because you realize that I'm still a good person. I may have done this, that, and the other, but no one deserves to be cheated on, regardless of anything. If there's a situation where something's not working, then I think it's always best to be honest with that individual and say, well, this is not working. Maybe we need to go our separate ways.
Mm-hmm.
But going out and cheating, no one deserves that. They don't deserve that in a marriage that you've committed to for a lifetime, or even in a relationship that's building up to a marriage, or
Right.
Nobody deserves to be cheated. But
and it's interesting that you said that, because the process of forgiving in itself is cathartic, and it is a deeply personal time schedule for every individual that goes through it. it doesn't happen, at a set time for everybody. That time is different for everybody. I know myself personally, I was so overwhelmed with the fact that I knew from the inception of the information I got about the cheating and infidelity and the child, that I knew that I had to, in order to be healthy again and be happy Jenny, I had to forgive him. And my goal from day one of finding out was, I've got to forgive this man. And forgiveness for me came at the 6-month mark. It took me 6 months. I made note of it. I remember it. I was sitting down on my couch and I said, I forgive him. And it was cathartic. I cried. I was by myself with my poodle, and I just let it go. I bawled for probably an hour by myself. And I said, it's past. I survived it. And I do not harbor any ill will or hatred or bad feelings for this person. And the only reason and only saving grace in that was that I knew that I did all I could to love him properly, unconditionally, and wholly and fully as any human that God creates can. And I literally had a feeling of calm come over me after about an hour of crying. And I said, that's it. And I released it. And through the process of forgiving him, I was able to just move forward in a way that I'm not mistrusting of everyone, but I'm cautious. I guess the word I would use is cautious. I'm hyper vigilant, and with good reason. And I kind of was grateful, to be honest with you, after it all washed over me. I when that wave came down and crashed, I was grateful, because I felt like I was stronger, if that makes any sense. And I don't know if you experienced that sensation or anyone else has, but that's my story. That's what I experienced.
Yeah, that's true. All life experiences, all things you go through, it does help you become stronger. And also, like you were saying, it helps you become cautious when you're going into relationships or dealing with people. You give things time, and then you take a look at things from every different avenue that you can.
Right.
And you learn from whatever things you may have overlooked, because sometimes we just overlook things. There's certain things that individuals show in time, more time that you spend with them and hang with them. And sometimes you can see tendencies, or sometimes you can see things that are different or out of the order. But then,
right.
But yeah, just going forward, man. It's just being cautious and allowing yourself to heal, and not hold anything against the next person when you enter into another relationship or stuff. And with all, what I was coming out of my marriage was like, the most biggest thing I ever had dealt with, in that part of my life, just being cheated on and then recovering from that. But it took time. It took about, it took maybe 8 or 9 months or so. It's just trying to
right.
recover yourself and get and figure out what you need to work on for the next thing. But when I moved into another relationship that didn't, last that long, I still trust that person based off of what they had showed me. I didn't, hold anything against anyone.
Right.
And then sometimes you need time to recover and do that, because sometimes people jump in out of one relationship to the other, and then
yes,
something happens, and they just kind of feel like, oh, let me got to put my guard back up real quick, or let me get out of this real quick. So I think sometimes we have to allow that process. We can say 8, 9 months, a year, or however long it takes, so that you don't go into another relationship already feeling a certain kind of way.
That's another thing that my girlfriends all tried to get me to date people and move forward, quickly from it. But I was like, I'm not ready. And I'm not going to use a person as a get over or a stepping stone to healing. I am a strong believer in, you don't use other people when you're miserable to help you ease your burden. I believe in going through it head on. And had a lot of arguments with girlfriends about that because they thought I should move on. You know, hey, it's 3 months, it's 4 months, you should move on, you need to start dating again. And I thought, if I'm not at a place that's good and healthy, and I'm not trusting and back to the old Jennifer, then I'm not good for someone else. I don't want to give them my baggage. Been there, done that. Don't want to carry luggage with me. You know what I mean?
Exactly. That's
So
true.
I don't know about you, but you mentioned it didn't last, this first relationship after. But did you feel and did you struggle with, hey, am I really ready to be in a relationship when you did have a relationship after the divorce?
I can't remember like the complete time frame. I mean, this could have been maybe 8 months after,
Yeah.
8 months total before I, started talking to someone else. But I'm trying to just think back, remember, I think I kind of felt like it was time to, move on, have a serious relationship, and try to, get back to get something else going, work towards marriage or so. Because I mean, which is it's still, when I think about it now, it's like you still have to be careful because like you may want to move too fast. And I think in this relationship, I was possibly wanting to move too fast. Like you develop feelings for someone, and you feel like, okay, well, because I always had it in the back of my mind there, like, well, once some other things worked out in my life, I mean, I don't mind. I could see myself marrying this person. At that time, that's what I felt, and I don't know if I was just going, rushing into it because 8 months prior, I was working through a divorce or dealing with a divorce. But I mean, that's how I felt at the time, But
Were you trying to replace what you lost, maybe? And having that committed relationship, that partnership again with this first relationship? Do you think maybe that's what was going on there? Because I noticed a lot of times men, women as well, but men tend to move faster. If a woman's husband dies, it'll be several years, if ever, that she is married again. With a man, the average is 6 months to 12 months, which amazed me when I found that out through research. Um, so I just wonder, were you trying to replace the partnership in the marriage that you had had for 11 years with this new relationship? You thought, you know what, I like that. I'm comfortable with marriage, the partnership. And maybe you were trying to move too fast because you wanted the end result, which was the partnership.
I don't think it was that. I just think that I got a pretty good feel from, for the woman that I was dealing with, and I can't say I was trying to replace it. I just kind of felt good about some things, and it could be, the fact that what I had went through. I was coming out of it, and this particular woman was like, I felt like, because in my marriage, I mean, it wasn't great. There were like a lot of dark times throughout the process of those 10 or 11 years. There were some ups and downs. There were dark times. And when I met this girl, it's like I was living again. It's like I was actually being myself again. Like in my marriage, I feel like I was being kind of conformed to be something that I really wasn't at times, or I had to accept things that I didn't want to really accept.
Okay.
But when I got into this relationship, it's like I was becoming free again, becoming more myself, and I was like, this woman is taking me to a different place or helping me get to a better place. So I felt like, well, man, I need to, seal the deal, keep this going or so. But just giving it time and stuff, I saw that it wouldn't have been a good idea. Thinking back on it, it would
Okay.
possibly would have been another premature, decision to go further with marriage. So
So,
sometimes you can go too fast,
right,
and
right,
sometimes you really needed to. You were going 90, but you needed to go 65 here,
right.
and I think that's what it is. What was the problem? We should have been going 65 at a certain point, but we pushed it to 90.
Was part of, you think, I know for me, part of my healing was, believe it or not, taking my own responsibility, for what happened, for my, you know, oblivious nature to what he was doing and what was going on. And I struggled with that. At first I was like, oh, poor me, I'm the victim. But then I had to realize and come to the realization I allowed myself to be bamboozled, and to be betrayed, because I was not seeing the signs that were probably there and that were evident, that other people had told me about. My own sister had told me about. I chose to ignore. My mother, I chose to ignore. And I think that part of healing is taking responsibility for your part in your significant other's escapades and cheating. As hard as that is to even say, I know that it's probably harder for other people listening to accept. The woman, the housewife that's married with 8 kids or whatever, and her husband's, a philanderer and a cheater. She's probably like, "What are you talking about?" But the truth of the matter is, we're all responsible as human beings for what we allow. And
exactly.
Yeah, and that was a struggle for me. That was a struggle. I get it now. And believe it or not, this deception taught me that. It did. And I'm actually grateful now. As crazy as that sounds, I'm grateful to this person who cheated on me and tricked me and used me and fooled me. I thank you for that. I really do. I sometimes think, I should call his mama. Like, I have thoughts, fleeting moments of that. And just tell her to give him a message that thank you, because, he made me stronger. I'm a strong woman anyway. But that really was, the icing on the cake for me. And, you look at it this way, you realize in life, if you can survive something once, you can get through it again. So it won't be that tear at my artery anymore. My ventricles in my heart are still going to be intact if it ever happens again, and I can deal with it, and I can move on probably quicker, and I'll be a lot wiser because it won't cut as deep. So I'm kind of grateful.
Yeah, it is grateful. It's certain things you can look back on, and I think through it all, like you were saying, you look back and you be like, yeah, I made it through. I had tough times where I didn't know where I was going to go or what I was going to do. I had pain that was tremendously on my heart. So many different things. And you just have to look back through some time, look back and say, I made it through it, and it does build your character and build strength. So now you're
Right.
like, I can make it through anything. It may not even be a relationship. It may be something else that you're dealing with, or you come in contact with, or something you else have to face. And you feel like, well, I made it through that, so I could definitely make it through this.
Right, exactly. Yeah, that's a great way to look at it. Yeah.
So it's so much you can pull from, so many things you can learn from, even dealing with, pain, something tragic taking place, such as a relationship going wrong, or you being cheated on, or so. I guess there's always some good comes out of a lot of bad. It's always a lesson.
Always a lesson, always. And I think that the ability to truly know that is a gift in itself. Because once you have that knowledge, it doesn't hurt anymore. There was a reason for it. And I don't know what the plan is for me as a human, but I know that in the end, I'm probably going to be a superhero with my strength. I'm sure you feel the same.
Yeah, exactly.
To be honest with you, I kind of feel sorry for the other people, the cheaters, because I don't really think they learned anything.
Yeah, because you found a way out of something because you didn't want to deal with something, and then you jump into something else. And then I just wonder, what is the percentages of those people that cheat and get into other situations, do they continue to do they continue to have do they have a good relationship? Do they go into marriage and have a long lasting marriage?
I wondered about that myself, and I tried to do some research on it when I was going through my pain, and I came up with the understanding that I compiled in my mind from all the research that I read about. That was people that are chronic and habitual cheaters will always be in a relationship. They will always have somebody. Not to be crass, but I believe a pimp has a long line of females, and the bottom bitch is the main bitch. So a person like that always has a quote unquote bottom bitch. They are never alone. And I realized that comes from a person who is ultimately and inevitably and endlessly insecure within themselves. So what you have is a person whose insecurity drives he or she to constantly use as stepping stones other individuals. And it's a never ending cyclical hamster wheel. So, my ex, for example, moved right along, went through 4 or 5 different females within the first 5 months. It was crazy. Yeah, it was crazy. Has been presently been engaged for 2 years now, with breakups every other three or 4 week period. I hear about it. It's just, always has to have something cooking on the stove. Always has to have another female, on the back burner. There ain't no being alone when you're insecure like that. You know what I'm saying?
Or either some people just not relationship, material. Like they want to cheat, they want to have multiple partners. I mean, that's what you want to do. Then
Well,
do that.
yeah.
Don't sell dreams, fake dreams out here to people that you want to be in.
However, I think once again, that statement you just made is they're trying to have that relationship. They're hoping for the best, for the 21 days it lasts, but until they're busted. But, they just got to keep moving. They're Rolling Stones, Papa was a Rolling Stone. Yeah, my ex is a Rolling Stone. I mean, you know what I mean? It's just people like that are habitual cheaters, it's all about them. It's like, it's all about me, baby. Insecurity 101. And it took me a while to accept that. But because I thought to myself, how could I be so in love with and plan a future with and plan to be married and the wife of somebody so insecure?
Yeah, you didn't fully know who you were dealing with. And that's
right.
You were
Right.
showed a side that was a side that made you, accept or love what you had been shown.
And
But
that's something else I want to say is that it's not that they're so good at manipulating. It's that you are vulnerable when you are in love and you are in an altered state. So you put people that you love on a higher pedestal. So surely if your neighbor is telling you that your husband is banging someone in the driveway at 12 o'clock midnight when you're sleeping, no, absolutely not. How dare you say that? I want to sell my house and move away from that evil person. That's what's going on in your mind when you're in love, because you will defend them to the end.
yeah, I don't want to be in love that bad when somebody says that.
Nor do I, but in the end, I do. I don't want to lose it, but I do want to be in love like that, because that's the beauty of love. It is an altered state of euphoria and a suspension of, the rhetoric of life itself. Love is a wonderful thing, especially the honeymoon phase. Oh my gosh, people get high on that. But making it last, that's what I'm more interested in.
Yeah, making it last. And like I said, love is a beautiful thing when you can really connect with one person and that person has the same belief system as you and are
Right.
willing to work and stick it out through no matter what. Because if you came to a point where you're saying, "Oh, I love this person, I want to be in a relationship with them," so then that shouldn't change. You should be able to keep that going, keep it growing and going. But I think
that reminds me, I think it was today I told you that I saw the elderly gentleman and his elderly blind wife that walked with a cane, and how beautiful it was. It brought me to tears when I saw that he helped her cross the street. He took her hand so gently, and he just, he led the way for her. And they were so old, both of them. And, that's a lifetime of love there and trust. And, at the end of the day, that's what I personally am looking for. I'm not looking for, this, honeymoon phase my whole life. I want the longevity. I want the dependability and the real, true, deep love, like I think most people want.
Yeah, I think that's what most people want. I just think sometimes they may get sidetracked with all the different things that are going on because there's so many temptations.
Right.
I mean, we're just average individuals, but you got to think about actors and entertainers that.
Well, you can call yourself average. I don't call myself average.
Well, I'm saying we're not. We can go outside and not have to worry about TMZ or the paparazzi or whatever trying to get a picture of us. But I think just in general, there's a lot of temptations in the world, and I think even a man that wants to be faithful, there's women that don't care, they're throwing themselves at you, and vice versa. Women have men throwing themselves at them, and it just really takes a strong connection with the person that you're with, and that connection to continue to grow and be strong to where you're completely one, to where you won't let anyone come inside, or anyone interrupt that or destroy what you have, because that happens a lot.
Well, on a personal level, my sister is married to somebody who's, a mechanical engineer. He works for, a famous race car driver, and he's a crew chief, and he has had people that we call lot lizards in stiletto heels, 5-inch stiletto heels, walking in the garage, bending over, dropping things. But he's got his wife and 3 children at home. And when I saw how that did not faze him because he had real love, I knew there was hope. So I know that there are nasty, low down people out there that even though they know a person has stability and love, they will try to better themselves vicariously through you and through damaging what you have and interrupting it. And my whole thing is, you have to have a strong foundation with the person that you love. And that does not mean lust. That means a partnership. And that's what leads to the ultimate longevity of love and marriage and commitment and faithfulness. And, it helped me not be angry, because I realized when I realized that, with my brother-in-law and my sister, I said, you know what? There's hope out there. This is real. This exists. And being angry about being cheated on is nothing. That's a gift. That's a gift I was given, being cheated on. So I just have a different way of looking at it now. And I'm sure you do too, 11 years of marriage. And who would have thought that you could have survived that?
That's true. Like I said, there was some long days, long nights.
Oh, I'm sure. I can't imagine. And you having children, and I just can't imagine. I really can't. It's been said before that divorce is worse than death. And with death, there's the finality. With divorce, the person still goes on living, but they live a different life away from you when you had that bond with them. And that's almost insufferable. I hats off to you for surviving and coming out on the other end as a really good man, and having your core belief system not altered or damaged, and still being a good human.
Yeah. It's dawning on it. Sometimes it leaves you speechless, but I'm a spiritual individual, and there's definitely not any greater friend than Jesus Christ. And you find out, and everybody has what they believe in or so, but in times when it's just you, when you can't get someone on the phone, or you don't have anybody that's visible there that you can reach out to.
Right.
I learned that there was truly presence of Jesus Christ, because There was someone, he was the person that I was able to talk to and cry to. And I felt the healing process when I opened myself up to him. I felt
Right.
coming in and just
Right.
fixing in me to help me continue to go forth in this life. So.
Right. And again, another gift that was bestowed on you, your undying faith and knowledge that your God, Jesus, is real and is there for you. So that's another gift that was bestowed upon you. And to others that have different systems of belief, the same thing. I believe that as humans, we're spiritual beings. And no matter what your creed is and what your system of belief is, it's those times that either verify it and solidify it for you and give you a freedom that you never had before the damage was done to you, or they basically leave you empty because you don't have the faith. I'm the latter. I have the faith and I'm thankful as you are. And, it's just, I can't, and I'm sure you can't be thankful enough for the pain we were doled out. Basically, thank you for serving us that pain and that cheating. Thank you for cheating on me. I appreciate it. And I'm sure you feel the same way. Never did I think that I would say that, but seriously, I thank you.
Yeah, those are times when the real you shows up. Everything
Yeah.
you did, what you had in you comes out.
Well,
yeah, as we come to an end here, as we always say, if there's anyone that wants to has a comment or any type of information or the way they feel about the podcast, definitely you can always send us a voice message. This particular podcast will be posted on all the social media, so feel free to leave a comment or anything on the social media. We'll be glad to respond to you.
in closing, the J&Cray Show. Have a good one.
As we come to the end of this show, we'd like to invite all of our listeners to feel free to send us a voice message. This particular podcast and all of our podcasts are posted on Facebook and Instagram. So if you just want to leave a comment there, that's fine as well.
And as always, join us for another episode next time of the J&Cray Show.